Good morning, guys. It is Jonathan with One Big Impact. Obviously, I'm here at the gym in the morning, and I wanted to talk about something. It doesn't necessarily have to apply specifically to powerlifting, but just understanding the idea of getting stronger in general. So, how to gain strength. This could definitely apply to powerlifters, but it can also, and I am a certified USAPL powerlifting coach, as well as a little gym owner, and there's like 9 of us that are be competing in about 6 weeks under me, under my gym. So I would like to say, first of all, I think the single most important thing is that you figure out what approach you want to take. So you have a few different routes that you can take with this, and one would be linear periodization, one would be conjugate, and one would be just going in the gym and trying to lift weights. So the easiest way to understand this is, if you don't know what the word conjugate means, I would probably stay away from the conjugate system as much as you can. It's a very vague thing. It's not that it doesn't work. It's not that there's just, for most people, there's not enough structure, and people wander around and don't really know exactly what they're doing, and their assistance exercises aren't actually assisting the real exercises, so they're just kind of burning themselves out. And especially if you're doing like doubles and triples and maybe up to fives and stuff like that, and you're just kind of jumping around with different things, you're really not going to put on much mass because you're not sticking with one exercise long enough. But I think one of the most important things is that's probably not a good place to start. And I'm only talking about conjugate. 95% of people out there are like, what the hell's conjugate? Who cares? I want to get that out of the way. It's not that I don't believe in it. It's that I know enough about conjugate to know that people get lost really, really fast if you don't have a structured program. Just because it's conjugate doesn't mean that you're jumping from machine to machine. That would be circuit training. And we all know that that's not going to be super crazy effective for the long term as far as putting on a substantial amount of strength. The next version of strength that I would recommend would probably be linear periodization. Basically just adding weights over time. Many people will not understand the idea of what that means. So if you are in a bodybuilding phase, meaning like your reps are 8 to 12, then you can try to add to like the big compound lifts. Maybe you do like squat, bench, deadlift, 1 or 2 days a week or something like that in your programming right now as just like exercises. By the way, don't try to deadlift more than once a week. At least heavy. I wouldn't even try it. It's just good luck. Like it's you're going to hit some brick walls with strength pretty fast, and it's going to mess with your hormones, and you will overtrain really fast. If you're brand new to training, you may get away with it for a little while, but I just wouldn't recommend it. It's a very, very taxing exercise, especially as you get stronger. But say you go into the gym and this week you can hit 200 on the bench. Next week you can hit try to hit, if you got 3 sets of 8 on 200 and you were at an RPE means rate of perceived exertion, meaning 1 to 10, 10 being the hardest, like you couldn't possibly get any more sets or any more reps, and like a 5 or 6 being like, yeah, I could definitely get a couple more sets or reps. If you're at a 10 on the last set, but you squeaked it out with good form, then the following week you would go to 205 pounds. Maybe you hit it twice that week or something like that, or 3 times that week, depending on how much your body can take. So basically, every time that your body gives you a signal that, hey, this rep scheme looks really good, I conquered it, that's great. If you are doing 3 sets of 8 and the first one you did 8 reps, the second one you did 7, and the third one you did 5, you do not go up in weight. Do not go up in weight the next week, even if you feel super crazy strong the next week. If that's the case and you do go in the gym feeling super crazy strong, then you put 200 on the bar and you finish 8, 8, and 8. And even on the last set, maybe you go to 10 or 12. But you want to make sure each rep scheme looks beautiful before you continue. Otherwise, you're going to be chasing numbers back and forth. Now, also don't get too caught up in having to constantly bring numbers up all the time. If you can't squeak out 205, that's okay. Do 3 sets of 9 or 1 set of 9 and 2 sets of 8. You are adding volume to that. It's just one more rep, but you might not think that that's going to be a big deal. But if you add one more rep each time, by the end of the year, obviously you're not going to go up to like 50 or 100 reps. But eventually you will be able to hit that 205 because you'll get stronger through the process. In addition to that, you can also do an extra set. If you feel like you're tanked out on 205 and you can't quite hit it, back it off and do 4 sets of 8 of the 200. Again, in addition to that, I would be careful of overuse on like your joints and stuff like that. Maybe one day you do an incline, one day you do a bench, one day you do a decline or something like that. Get in a different range of motion with different muscle fibers, different joint angles and stuff like that to be very careful. Same thing with squats. You don't want to squat heavy every day, even if you're squatting like 2-3 days a week. Maybe one day is a light day, a little bit higher reps, and keep track of this. That's probably going to be the single most important thing. If you're trying to get stronger and you're trying to put on, whether it's more mass or just more massive amounts of strength, meaning bringing your total numbers up, you definitely need to track your progress. If you're not tracking your progress, you don't really know where you're going. People say, oh, I remember my numbers. That's okay. You might remember your numbers, but if you are really trying to pick up strength, they're going to be moving like crazy, and you're not going to remember them all. And if it's just the compound lifts, maybe you could remember those numbers. But I would suggest fully for positive mental attitude in the future to be able to go ahead and look back, because maybe you remember today's numbers and then you go into the gym next week and you remember next week's numbers, but you're not going to remember numbers from 3 years ago. So it really helps, because every time you go in the gym, it's going to feel like impending doom. It's going to, if that 200 turns into, 235 someday, it's going to feel just as hard as the 200 is. So you're not really knowing probably that how far you've come. 35-pound PR is huge on a bench. So understand that. Beyond that, so linear periodization happens to be my favorite. Don't become obsessed with constantly bringing up your numbers, and they're not going to continue to bring up. If you want to go on a strength cycle, you can message me. I do offer programs, and I can offer online training and everything. But it's important that you don't become obsessed with trying to bring that number each and every single week indefinitely, because you're going to hit a brick wall eventually. You don't want to stay doing strength for too long, because your body just won't be able to handle it. You have to kind of program yourself out and then go through cycles, and then cycles of muscle building, and then kind of bouncing back and forth. The other thing is, if you're trying to pick up strength on a regular basis, you do need to be in, at minimum, a caloric balance, meaning like a caloric stable point. If your resting metabolic rate or your basal metabolic rate, say, to be able to sustain this body style, my girly-ish figure, I need 2,000 calories. Well, mine's 2,200. So if I need 2,200 calories to stay where I'm at minimum, I'm going to need 2,200 calories. I will say right now, if you are wanting to do the best for your strength gains, you need to be in a caloric surplus. In the beginning, you can get away with kind of screwing around with your nutrition and not really, being specific. But if you're 2-3 years of training, first of all, you probably won't be watching this video because you're probably got a kind of good idea. But I see people every day in the same sense that go 5-10 years and they don't know what the fuck they're doing. So there's no shame in that. If you've just been going through the motions and you've been working out to be healthy, but now you want to take it to the next level, that's great. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But I would say get yourself at least minimum 250-500 calories into a surplus. If you're a hard gainer, if you're a skinny guy, you're going to have to go way more than that. If you can be putting on, half a pound to a pound of week of body weight, that's great. Remember, you're not going to gain muscle if you're not gaining size. So that's why you see bodybuilders and stuff like that fluff up before a competition, because, or in their off season, because they need to put on mass. And some body fat comes with that. Don't let it get out of control. Don't let it get outrageous. But I will say, if you are more prone to picking up body fat, just understand that maybe you want to go through like 6-8 week cycles rather than 12 weeks or whatever, because you need to back off and make sure you get some of that body fat down. And as cycles, I mean like strength cycles, bodybuilding cycles or whatever. I do not mean steroids. I do not do that. I'm a drug-free lifter. And my current numbers, just to give you an idea, at a 500-pound squat. Last year I was at a 300-pound squat. So you learn a lot through really hitting those numbers hard. That's not going to be everybody's numbers. My deadlift is currently at 625, and my bench kind of weak at like 335. I have really long arms, so I'm good at deadlifting, but I'm not that great at bench. But I'm definitely working on bringing that up over time. If you have questions, I hope I covered enough of the information. Again, don't become obsessed with the numbers. Just understand that little by little you're going to get stronger. And it doesn't have to be through the major compound lifts, but that's going to be probably the best way to be able to gauge your strength. Most people don't say, I want to be really crazy strong at a bicep curl. Well, then just do bicep curls and then add weight slowly. You can probably get a little bit stronger, but you're going to hit a wall. You're not going to bicep curl with a single arm 100 pounds. Like, there's no point. Unless you're doing like some kind of crazy arm wrestling or something like that. I hope this information helped you guys. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe to our channel. It helps me immensely. Have a beautiful day, guys. Be stronger than your excuses. Remember to spread love, not hate. Drink your damn water and stay on track.